I guess after I collected some data from, I videotaped some conversations with reading partnerships where kids were reading two different books, and I felt like I learned something from that, but I also just felt like the kind of conversation that kids can have when they're reading two different books was limited, and I was going to get a lot more from listening to conversations where they had a common text. So I have that with the read aloud discussions, and then I'm like gearing up to do these book clubs, but I haven't started them yet. And yeah,
what's
so
the issue with your school?
So I was hoping to start it by now, but we at our school we do expeditionary learning as a model, and it's insane, and like especially right now. So it's like in the 5 weeks leading up to our big expo, it's just like out of control. Like everything else goes out the window. So it's a really hard time to start a new routine in my class. So I was feeling like what I really wanted my routine data source to be was videos of the book clubs, but I just can't start them right now.
So you were saying that how about showing your kids that amazing video?
Yeah, so I'm still like kind of gearing up to do them, and was thinking as part of preparation for book clubs where they meet without me, I showed them one of the videos that was so inspiring to me. So I showed them this video of 4 fifth graders talking on their own about the book Bud Not Buddy, and they watched it, and then afterwards we talked about like what did they see those kids doing that they could also do, like what made that discussion so good, and we made it just a big list. Yeah, they were really excited to see it, and like
What were some of the things they noticed?
they noticed everything that I noticed. So they noticed like how instead of jumping around from idea to idea, like the kids really stayed on one idea for the whole time, and like really listened to each other and developed the idea. They were really interested in how like the kids argued with each other. Like we do a lot of I respectfully disagree, and then they're like, well, they didn't do that. But we kind of talked about how it was kind of cool also. Like they were so excited about the conversation, and like it was okay that they disagreed like pretty heatedly sometimes, and they were always respectful to each other, but like it was an exciting conversation, and they really liked that. And they noticed right away like the kids were always going back to the text and like using examples and evidence to support their ideas, and like when someone didn't do that, the other kids in the group would challenge them to do that. Yeah.
So there was a lot, and they saw it. They noticed. They could see what was. They could see what was going on. So and then you had a discussion with that. What happened there?
Yeah. So the next day, we were having a whole class discussion about our read aloud. We're reading The Tide Rising right now, and I had just taught them. We were looking at theme, and I taught them how one way to analyze theme is to look at recurring images and ideas that come up again and again in the text, and to think about what those ideas or images might actually represent, other than what they literally are. And just the discussion that happened after that
sort of what success looks like from what you said, but I'm wondering, you said the quality of ideas. Could you give an example of sort of what was different or what jumped out to you?
So, they just went way beyond, kind of summary retelling level to, they started to really examine symbolism and representation. And like even especially actually some of the kids that are the most struggling readers, were all of a sudden seeing things, and sharing all these ideas about like what these different things represented, and they were just like, they were really excited about it. And
You have on one of your blog posts, at the bottom of that paragraph, at one point, one of my local students had a huge grin on his face and jumped up and said, "The tiger is like Bob's feelings, and the cage is Rob's feelings, and the cage is Rob, keeping them all trapped inside, and Sistine has the key." And the other students literally gasped and stopped talking about it. That's
it was great.
So if you have a routine data source, or if you're able to capture these discussions over time, and you can look at the one that you have this one and the next one and the next one, you have some criteria, you have some indicators in those discussions that you'd be looking for. For example, the quality of the students' ideas about the subject matter, the ways in which they talk or respond. And you could come up with like 4 indicators that would mean this is a good discussion. Right? Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and I'm wondering, Laura's up there trying to take notes. It seems like we've named some. I mean, you said the quality of ideas, but you got even more specific, going beyond. Because the idea is to get specific enough that you could recognize it when you saw it, but going beyond summarizing. And you gave an example of giving symbol of representation. Yeah.
staying on one idea.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think the list that they made,
It would be good to be.
like, I would pare it down, but that seems like a good place to start.
And then what a great model of developing indicators with students.
This then, the post that you just posted, yesterday, right, was field notes of the next discussion. Because we were talking about how it'd be great to have a videotape, but on the other hand, if you just have field notes, that's actually fine. And it's maybe even better because you don't have to have all this equipment and everything.
So whatever it is somehow documenting these conversations. The routine data source is a conversation, and however you can document it.
I think that's the tricky thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to, so talk a little bit about this, about the field notes here that you wrote, and let's see if we can, from this is what, what would be a really good routine data source, and maybe if we could pull out from there one of your indicators, looking at the data, that would be a nice example of what we're trying to sort of model here.
Talk about how they did it, or what it
So
shows.
what are you seeing there?
So I asked this question about how the main character was changing based on the chapter we just read, and like in that chapter he had done something really kind of out of character and new and exciting for his character that like showed how he was growing. And they didn't really go there. Like they didn't really notice what he did. They did. They focused on something else that was actually equally, or also really interesting and important, but not what I had asked about, which was kind of the relationship between these two characters, Rob and Justine. And they it took them a while, but they came to an idea that was a good idea, or like they got to a deeper level of analysis about one of the characters' motivations, like where it says, let's see, this is hard to talk about without knowing more about like context. Can I just tell you a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Rob and he makes friends with this girl named Sistine, who's kind of like abrasive, but who helps. They actually become friends, and she kind of helps him open up a little bit. And they find this. He finds this tiger in the woods that's like locked in a cage, and she really wants to let it go, and he's not sure if they should. So yeah, so like Abel said, he's opening his suitcase little by little, especially with Sistine and this other character around. Sistine in this chapter had just said all this really mean stuff to. Oh, Rob said he wasn't going to let the tiger go, and Sistine. And then he said some other stuff to Sistine. She said a bunch of really mean things to him. That's what hit out of him usually. So when Sistine said those words to him, he just closed up. And then they kind of like the first kid, Adele, kind of talked back to him a little. Said, yeah, but then he opened up a little more. And then they got to this idea that actually Sistine only said those mean things so that then he would let the tiger go. And that seems like an interesting idea, like a higher level of analysis. And they kind of got there together. So like Natalie said that. And
that was one of the indicators, right, that they should be arguing about it.
or like staying on one idea and like not shying away from disagreement. Yeah.
Staying on one idea and not shying away from disagreement. So that seemed like two indicators.
Yeah.
And it seems like one of the things that's important about staying on one idea is that it builds sort of collectively something.
Right.
I also heard you say this ties in, it's more of an affect, but I think it ties into this idea of staying on one idea and arguing is that, I think you said the word enthusiasm about 4 times when you were talking about what was so exciting about this video. And I mean, I wonder if that's also one of your indicators for a successful conversation about the text, is that there's this energy that the students bring. I mean, would that be one of the indicators we write down, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Strikes me that as you do this, you get much smarter while communicating. And when you start to say, oh, this is what I really am looking for, now I'm a bit clearer. So you can start out with some indicators you think are good, and as the work progresses over the course of this time, when you're in strong, you do get smarter by communicating.
I think one more thing that you wrote on your blog that and you also mentioned in the inspiring video that you watched together was the textual reference. So that might be one. Did you get to add that? So
Yeah.
referencing back to the text.
Didn't do that.
So this is kind of what we have in mind that you'll be doing in your small groups. Does anybody have any comments or questions or ideas or thoughts as we're going through this?
Yeah, it's really interesting because you say you teach, what grade do you teach? Fifth grade, and just thinking about this, I teach graduate students, but there's so much in this discussion that's really helpful to me. I mean, that's sort of interesting, just a little reflection. I mean, how do you have a good discussion, and what would be the indicator of, a rich discussion about the text?
Before we end, I want to ask you a hard question, and it's okay if you don't know. Taking these indicators, can you restate what your learning goal is?
Can you read the indicators that we wrote down?
So the quality of ideas, that they're moving beyond summarizing, talking about symbolism and representation, staying on one idea so they're collectively building something, not shying away from disagreement, that there's enthusiasm and energy, and then referencing back to the text.
Yeah, maybe those are my learning goals. Okay.
A discussion that has those,
Yeah.
qualities.
Yeah.
So sort of discussions, rich discussions about text, and we would know that they're rich if they have these things.
Yeah, I mean, right.
Can I tell you what I hear? I hear like a critical engagement with text.
Just one really specific
Yes.
question. I saw on your blog you said that it was from the reading and writing project, the video. Is there a specific place if we want to use that video, you can direct us to?
It's awesome. I can send you the thing, or I can send it to.
Yeah.
Maybe
Great.
post it.
I'll post it on my blog.